go ahead and do it.
Okay, it's a little early now, right? What is it?
Yep,
And
it's gone.
action. So anybody want to approve the minutes such that they were last time? Any corrections? I know Lisa's trying.
I'll make a motion
There she goes.
to approve.
To approve. Any seconds?
Second.
Who seconds it? Richard seconds.
Second.
Any discussion? Is that what we do, or is it all in favor?
Yeah.
We go discussion. No.
You want me to do it again? They're
Yes, please, Gordon.
They're so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. So, news, it's Steve McDonald's birthday. So I told him we reviewed the agenda a little bit, and as we just have a couple housekeeping things that he was up to date with, I said that
Take a pass.
I said, yeah, you can take a pass. Go. His wife's gonna take out for dinner until So I said, go out for dinner. And so he's
all right. Everybody, that's official then. Everybody gets their birthday off.
Correct.
Now, wait, though, we have to vote on the minutes. Sorry.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hey, Don, how are you?
Hey.
So, okay, so that's that. Any communications? There weren't any on the agenda. I did not send any around, mostly because you had all received what Gordon had sent as far as the community grant effort, which is really the significant communication that happened over the last month. So we'll just move right into the agenda, right? Which is, first item is, or any changes to this agenda? Anybody want to add anything before we get to it? No? All right, so as you saw, I guess, on the agenda, we were going to pause the timeline specifically to get some specific feedback from this extraordinary grant opportunity that's kind of reared its beautiful head. And it's incredible too, Gordon, that you were able to get this thing out in such a short order. I mean, I think it came in and it looked like 2 weeks later it was due and you guys got it in. So I'm going to turn it over to you, all right, to talk more about it. And anybody who's got any questions, just sort of put your hand up and we'll segue to you. But for the time being, let's leave it on to Gordon, all right? Okay, Gordon?
Yeah, just it's an interesting coincidence because we were just finishing up working on the explanatory text and talking to USDA and bond council, getting ready to go to a vote. And then sort of out of the blue comes a letter from Congresswoman Hayes's office saying, going out to her constituencies, her town leaders, because we'd all had in the back of our mind with all this talk of infrastructure, how's that going to play out here? And, our timing, even though it's been slower than maybe we'd like on the wastewater saying, here we are. So we were able to pull together, Lisa modified the explanatory text. Steve did a little work on the engineering report, although basically we took that off the shelf. And then Barbara Herbst, I put her in charge of getting letters of support. We wound up with 24 letters of support, all very well written and different from each other, hitting different aspects of the grant proposal of the project, all positive, from the river advocates, and especially a short but very good one from the Torrington Area Health District, from Kathy Weber, saying they wholeheartedly support this and saying they're sort of have patched things together in West Cornwall for a long period of time. And it's sort of at the breaking point as far as she's concerned. So again, we're going to then had, town boards. Joe Pryor went around and got signatures from all the finance people, because there was a question on the application about use of taxpayer funds. Regional people from the Northwest Conservation District, the Northwest Hills COG. Maria Horn came in with a very good statement. Potential business people came in. Lifelong residents of town came in on things. So again, it all came together well, and John very, wordsmiths the application to hit all the boxes. And so in we went with probably 24 hours to spare, with also a letter of endorsement from the Board of Selectmen. So I think it looks good. The important thing for us is it's a fairly quick time schedule, and there are only 10 projects allowed from each congressional district. And I don't think they'll have any problem getting those. So if you do the math, that's probably over 3,000 applications that can go into Congress. And already, Jahan, there's one application, I believe, from each. Well, you can put in more than one per town, but they're only going to take at most one for each town. There are 41 towns in the 5th congressional district. And they'd already had 15 towns express interest when I told them we were ready to go with ours. So, we'll be competitive. The good news is we'll know probably she has a quick turnaround time herself to decide which are going to be the chosen 10. And then she submits those to various subcommittees on the U.S. Congress Appropriations Committee, depending on what they are, whether they're bridges, roads, rural development projects, broadband things, veterans projects, a lot of different possibilities there. And they would all, depending on what they are, they would go to a different subcommittee. So she'll decide the 10. So if we don't make the first cut, we'll know by the end of the month. So then if we don't make the first cut, we'll go back to our plan of having something, meetings in June, July. We still can probably pull that off. We basically have the information. The only thing we're really open on at this point is the USDA funding level. We have to nail that down. The bond council and Steve are going to talk to Norman at the USDA and try to get a number. But again, with all these various large pots of money coming out of Washington, he's a little hesitant to put down a real number until, again, we get a town positive vote. But certainly having things go in our direction, I think our timing's good. Locally, the Times is good. I had a great visit with the Litchfield County Times reporter talking about the new businesses in West Cornwall, interviewed the new bike shop, the local, and the old electric bike shop. We've suddenly become the bike capital and recreation capital of Northwestern Connecticut. And the new bike store said people are knocking down his door before he's even open. So again, positioning.
There's a new bike store in West
Well,
Cornwall?
the Utzler store, there's a ski and ride store. So they have all the ski tuning equipment, and they're also going to be selling regular bikes and outdoor 4-season outdoor recreation gear. And he said just people are finding them without even him trying. So again, there's going to be an article in Litchfield County Times talking about the rebirth of business in West Cornwall.
Excellent.
So that's good. And it was great to walk there, and they were putting a new roof on the old Pink House. So the hammers were banging in West Cornwall as we were walking down the street. And so just the energy is there, the timing's there.
The timing is exquisite.
Our time is good. So again, we should hear if we make the first round, if Johanna decides to take this to Washington, there's probably a good chance, just because we were able to check, a fairly detailed application, and because we had the engineering study, because we already had been pre-qualified as eligible by USDA. You can't get that opinion in 2 weeks, but we had it. We didn't know the number. And again, because some money was already going to come from USDA, we could say, whatever you money, we're already getting some money, we'd like more. So I consulted with our grant people and with Joe Pryor, Board of Finance, we asked them for 75% funding, thinking that they like seeing some cost share, some skin in the game by the municipality. And certainly if we can pull off 75 instead of 40% or whatever, that's a huge win for the town and certainly worth a slight wait. So then the next round.
Wait, before, Gordon, hang on
Yeah.
just a second. All right, let me see if everybody is caught up on this. Does anybody have any questions? I've got a question.
Yes.
So does anybody else? Joanne, let's us hear what you got to say.
No, it sounds very exciting and very positive. It's glad to hear it. But I want to know, do we lose anything? You said we'll know about making the first cut by the end of the month, which looks like we will make that. But do we lose anything on the USDA by putting it on hold, or does it not go on hold? Does it continue to move along in a parallel path, or does it stop while this goes forward?
I think we may have to hit a resubmit button, but because we have all these letters, now we have all these letters of support, that when it comes time for deciding the funding and things, I think this is a positive. There may be a slight resubmit time, but Norman felt that and Steve felt that would not take much time at all compared to the potential upside of this. And again, if we go back to Plan A with just the USDA traditional road development grant, we're all lined up to do that too. So, I mean, it may be a couple of weeks and we can spin around.
Is there a higher, if we figure that it's going to cost more than 5 million, so is there a higher amount or a cap on the Johanna Hayes grant?
That I don't have an answer to. And again, we're really not gonna know the whole cost of the project until we go out to bid, which has to happen after we design. So, and again, if there's a whole lot of infrastructure work, the prices may go up. Hard to tell. Steve was asked that by bond counsel recently, and he's confident that $5 million is a good number. And I think he has his eyes on, because he's working in the project in Norfolk, he's working all over the state doing this type of work. I think his judgment, his eyes is pretty close on what's a real number at this point. So I think there's a big upside. So that's round one, which we're going to hear about the end of April. Our advantages are also because this goes to the Rural Development Subcommittee of the Agriculture Department. It just happens that our Congresswoman is the only Congresswoman in Connecticut on the Agricultural Committee. Might be one of the two in New England. So again, she's been on there for a while, knows people, and the head of, or it's actually the Appropriations Committee, Agriculture Subcommittee. So she knows people.
What's her name? What's the name? What's her name?
Well, Johanna is on the Agricultural Committee.
Johanna's on the Agriculture. Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
On the
Yeah.
Agricultural Committee. This goes to the Agricultural Subcommittee of the Appropriations Committee, and the Appropriations Committee Chair is Rosa DeLaura of the New Haven Congressional District, which also shares Waterbury with Johanna. So they are friends. So again, we're well positioned, I think, politically, especially for a very small state, to at least give it a good shot.
There's no question. Yeah.
Depends what other, there's probably going to be another 100 projects out there, and I don't know the ins and outs. They did say there's no maximum grant award. So, how far the money goes. And again, with this whole nother talk of infrastructure program, I think our timing is really good. I think, again, being able as a small town, thanks again to Barbara and John, to be able to pull something together really quickly with everything else going on. I just, the timing's good, and I don't think a lot of people could pull it together as much. And plus having a project that is, we're not just rebuilding a bridge or paving a road. we're doing something that has regional impact and, could have benefits throughout the whole region, both by people coming here, using it statewide, and having, amplifier effect for other businesses in other towns. So anyway, you all know the deal.
Gordon, let me ask
So
my
the second,
question.
so the second round, I think Congress is set to go on vacation by the end of June. So it's going to be all said and done by June 30th was what I heard. So we're going to know if we go all the way, we're going to know by June 30th. So again, if we get it, then we retool our presentation, and it's going to take us a month or two to get organized for the vote, but we're still looking good for a vote.
And-
Maybe it happens in August, September. So we're still looking good for a vote.
So
you know,
Gordon, let me get you to focus a little bit on this referendum. How is it, and I'm glad Joe is here to hear this, because I'm having trouble understanding how we go to referendum without specific grant numbers in our explanatory text.
I think that's the text is going to be up to the bond council to figure out exactly how we present that in the most credible way possible. So
Okay.
in a way, that's not our problem, that's his problem. I think what he's going to say, what the bottom line is, the town's going to have to bond, be on the hook for $5 million with the expectation that we're going to get X amount of grant. Now, he's going to have to say that is a range, or he's going to say estimated at, or whatever. So
Okay,
that's
Lisa-
up to him to say.
Lisa's got a comment here. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I think what we're looking at, Gordon, is that the language that Fozzie will draw up will say the town is authorized to expend no more than the 4,942,000, whatever it is. That's what is being said there. So the bids could be lower. The bids could wind up being a little bit higher, and we might have to go back to the town meeting. But that's what that statement that will be voted on will say.
Right, but a big portion of what the town actually reaches into its pocket for has to do with how big the grant is.
That's
And it-
so. But I'm
Right.
How do
hoping
we?
we won't be spending our money, I hope. I mean, at some
Well,
point,
some of it'll be our money. If we get the full grant from the community grant, we spend 25%. If we get
Yeah.
the full grant from USDA, we were going to spend 55%, but now we don't know
But-
what USDA is.
Well,
giving.
again, we're
we do
going,
a borrowing. We do a borrowing for that 25%.
I know, but
we're
either we
gonna,
borrow 25% or we borrow 55%. That's quite a range.
Oh, yeah.
To
we're
tell
not
the
going to vote,
town.
we're not
to-
going to vote until we find out
Until
Whether
we
this-
know, yeah.
whether we won the community funding
Okay,
award.
and
or
then,
not. And then the good thing about that is, from my understanding, we asked for a specific amount of money. I think it was $3.5 million or something. So we're going to know, that's be much more precise than if we go to Norman and he said, well, it could be 20, it could be 30 or
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
And he said, you got to vote for it. So again, if we're on this track to get 75, which is a defined number, that solves that problem too. So
right,
again,
no, I
we
get that,
don't-
I get
if
that.
we have to go back to the original plan, then we have Fozzie tell us what's legally the way to
Okay,
do all this stuff. So,
okay,
okay.
thanks. Yeah, that clears it up. Thank you. Anybody else got anything they want to dig into on this subject? All right, moving along here. What's our next agenda item? Already forgotten. Anybody got the agenda in front of them? I think it's community outreach.
Outreach and community education, is that?
Yeah, so timeline for outreach and
Oh.
community education, yeah. So the one thing I would tell you guys is that I've had some conversations with Rocco Botto, who's taken over, I guess, the Cornwall website, not the official Cornwall website, but it's what we got. And he's very keen to give this project as much face time as possible. In other words, I mentioned to him that it's quite difficult to find the wastewater project, although if you really want to see what's going on, you can find it. But it would be great if we could get it more on the homepage or out front. And he understands that. And so we're going to work really hard to get as much of this information, particularly as relates to the timeline. And I think those letters that Gordon mentioned that they put together, whether they get
I can
we
post
grant
things
or
on the
not,
Cornwall
but-
website. It's not
Say
hard.
that
for me to
again?
do. I can post things on the Cornwall website because I'm on the website committee.
Right, so, but what Rocco has specifically done is created a landing page that is gonna be
Find it.
very prominent, not just for this specific portion of this project. So I just feel that, once a month in Cornwall Chronicle is great, but the timing is very difficult and things change and morph, et cetera. So I think it will be really good to utilize that website as much as we can, so.
And also the Cornwall Community Network.
So then, yeah, I agree, Todd. If we can get something on the front page, maybe what we'll do is we'll wait till we hear if we made the first round. And even if we
Okay.
didn't first round, I think these letters are good. And we'll put an appropriate place and maybe, get that application up because I think it is good. It's well written. It's a good summary where we're at. So we'll try to see if we can get something on the front page there and just juice it up a little bit.
And certainly, once the referendum language starts
Oh, yeah.
to be finalized, that would be a great place to put that so that people really know what they're going to be voting on when they finally do show up to do that. So that's the kind of setting that I think could be really useful over the next few months. Anything else on that? All right.
Question from the secretary, who made the motion to approve the minutes and who made the motion to second?
Motion to approve was Joanne, I believe. Lisa.
I had
Second was
Lisa.
Richard.
I second it, yes.
I
Yeah,
made the motion.
Yeah.
Lisa,
okay.
okay.
Richard did the second.
Yes,
Okay.
it's all recorded.
So we're gonna pause the dates. We know that, we've talked about that. We won't try to set new ones until we hear more from, what did you say, Gordon? You think by the end of May, early June?
No, we're gonna hear first round by the end of April. So whether we go to Washington, we'll know that by the end of April. So again, if it gets that real, then we'll be, chatting it up with the congressional office and maybe even get some of our senators involved and that kind of thing. So we'll be going up the chain on that. So that's sort of where the action's
so-
gonna be. So,
We'll meet again in May to decide on the timeline, the dates, specific dates on the timeline.
yes.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it, guys. No Steve. I think we could come to public comment unless somebody wants to talk about anything else. Is any of the public, there is some public here. Is anybody interested in any comments or to hear Johnny's gone? Johnny's gone. Richard, hi Richard. Don, Mr. Shane Wise. Okay, so motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Unless, I don't want to push this along too fast, anybody. So you want to, and anything else you want to say or get said? Nope. Okay. Guess we all have other stuff to do. I have another Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
who wants, so Don makes a motion to adjourn.
I'll
Second,
second.
Richard
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. 2 for 2. Good.
Yeah, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, good to see you all. Thanks for
Y'all
showing
have-
up.
Have fun in the sun.
I'll try.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
try to
think
get
of
the Congresswoman up to West Cornwall if I can, so.
Oh, that'd be, yeah,
I'll-
I'd love to meet her. How did she
Yeah.
end up on, as an on the agricultural committee? Does she have farming skills?
She knows some farmers.
She knows some farmers. I don't know.
She knows some farmers. I won't mention any names, but she knows some farmers. She said that, you know,
Awesome.
people in Waterbury, everybody has to eat, and she came up in the northwest corner and said there's a lot of commonality in these issues there as far as food supply, food scarcity, keeping people fed, keeping people employed. She
Those
hit it.
people who grow maple syrup, right?
Yeah, doesn't hurt. All good. All
Okay.
right.
All right, awesome. Talk to y'all
All
later.
right.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you at P and Z.